All right, team, I'm going to show you guys how we did the Amazon AWS before. Everyone should have accounts right now, so I'm going to go ahead and sign into the console. This may take me a little while. Get my password together. As I said before during class, for those that have missed it, what you're going to want to do is you want to launch a virtual machine. I like to pick the Server 2016 base. This is the server. Free tier eligible. Let's review and launch. Let's go ahead and launch that. I'm going to go ahead and create a new key pair, and I'm going to call this test server. I'm going to save this. I believe I'll save this in my networking class. So that's there. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch the instance. Now it may take a little while, so we'll just wait for a little bit. But for anybody that doesn't have TeamViewer, you guys should be working every day. You should lab every day. You know what? This is a call from Bill. Gotta pause this. All right, we're back at it. Just got off the phone with Bill. We had to discuss some business here. Let's go ahead and go into the view instances because this should be rolling by now. This is probably my stop Linux machine as before. I'm just going to go ahead and get the Windows password. So I'm going to, let me cancel that again so you guys can see that. Right click, get the Windows password. You see that the key name was test server. So let's get the pair path, choose the file. And where do we save this at? We saved this in networking. And here it is right here. 6:25 p.m. is when I created this. I'm actually getting ready to go out and cast my vote soon. Alright, so let's go ahead and decrypt the password. Administrators our username. This is my password. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. Go over here to my OneNote and paste it here. Let's make it big. That's too big. That's too big. There we go. So this is it. We go ahead and grab that. Minimize that. You now have your password. Close. Right click. And connect. And now in order to connect, it's going to make you save an RDP file. Here it is. Download your RDP file somewhere you know where it's going to be at. I'm going to save it on my desktop. Just leave it like that. Click save. Close out of here. I like to use Google Chrome. Double click. Open up. Click connect. Here's the administrator. Control V, paste. As you can see, this is my password. And I can go ahead and click remember me if I want. But I'm going to go ahead and click OK. The identity cannot be verified. Do you want to connect anyway? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I can view my certificate and install it on the current machine. Next, next, finish. Import was successful. Click yes. And you don't have to do that every time. You can just click yes. And this is how fast it is, you guys, to actually get a hold of an AWS virtual machine in the cloud. This is called an instance. Now, if we did this with VirtualBox, it would take an arm and a leg. I could show you in class, but just for, for installation purposes, I could just have everybody just do one of these. Everybody should have one by now. You have no excuse not to have an AWS account right now. It's free. They do ask for your credit card, but it's really not going to charge you any money. And if it does, very little, if at all. Do I want to allow other PCs? Yes, I'll just go ahead and click that. Now, for those of you that did not come to class last time, before I was showing everybody different things, such as some of the system administration stuff that was going on when I'm at my previous job. If you go to Windows administrative here, you'll see all these administrative tools. We talked about the server manager last time. Now, if you go into event viewer, and you may see these going into some of these positions that you look at. I spent a lot of time under applications and logs, and it basically shows you a lot of logs of what's going on the server. This is going to take a little bit of time, so let's just go into this one instead. It's taking time. We'll minimize it and go off to the next thing for now. But I like to use, that's one place where you could find it. But if you go in here and click on the server manager, this is going to open up. Now it's still kind of building itself up, so you just give it a little bit of time. You got 1 gig of memory. You got an AMD 64 central processing unit, which is the chip. Your public IP address here. And you guys have already been told on how to go ahead and get your IP address using CMD. Right click that. I like to run it as an administrator. IP config. Bam. There you go. This is your IP address. That's the private IP addresses we talked before. This is the one that's local to this machine. But your public IP address right here could be accessed, you know, anywhere in the world as long as you have the credentials. If I were to minimize this screen and use RDP on my local Windows 10 desktop, I should be able to reach this. That's the subnet mask, default gateway. You guys should had already been playing around with this a little bit in your books, but I'll go ahead and close out. And as you can see, I'll click on my local server. Got 30 gigs of space, not too much that you need. A Xeon processor, which is very common within servers. Now under the dashboard before, what we were trying to do, we added a role and feature. There we go. We'll just leave that. And we will choose a DHCP and a DNS server. No static IP was found. We won't worry about that now. DNS. Continue. We won't install Hyper-V. There's no reason to install Hyper-V. You cannot virtualize on a already virtual machine. But we'll go ahead. Let's go back and see if we get Active Directory domain services. Let's get that going. And we'll just leave it like that and click next, next, keep going next, install. And this is going to take a little bit of time. We're just doing this just for testing purposes. And while that's going, I just want to show you guys, let's minimize this, and I just want to show you guys that this is running here, and we'll cut it off before the end. We only got a couple more minutes, but just give me a second. All right, so I just want to show you guys something real quick with TeamViewer. Everybody should have TeamViewer installed. So I have TeamViewer. This is the one you want to install. So you go to TeamViewer on google.com, download for free. This is the personal use one you want to use, and this will happen right here. So you can install that somewhere in your downloads typically. I already have it installed, so just make sure you pick the personal use once you get it going. But anyway, once you have that in there, you will see this. So anybody that you're working with, they should be able to see your ID. You'll be able to see your ID and a password. So if someone wants to connect to your computer, you give them the partner ID right here, and then you give them the password, and you guys can work together, and you can cut it off when you don't, when you want it, when you don't want it. A nice thing that we'll be able to do here is we'll be able to schedule a meeting. If you look right here, I have a test meeting right here that I scheduled. I could change it whenever I want, but we're going to start doing this, and everybody's going to have to take attendance. As we said, this class is almost like a part of an interview. People that show up doing the work, they're going to be this is your interview here. So, people that are doing the work and, they're coming to class, they're on time. You guys are going to be the people we're looking at when we hear about leads and placements. It's not just a certification. We're looking at that too. So keep that in mind. I'm going to just go ahead and click test and click start. And right here, I'm doing my screen sharing. So you can call in at this number right here whenever I start a meeting. And I think the way it'll work is I'll probably just, let me see here. I'll probably just send the meeting out. And I think that's how, let me see how that's supposed to work. We'll cover it in class. I haven't done it in a while, but when I schedule this meeting, I think what I could do, configure we'll use it phone, conference data. Okay, well, don't worry about that. But this is something that you could do when you have TeamViewer. And I think what I could do, it should be something here. There should be something here where I should be able to send this out. The meeting ID. Unlock the meeting. Where you could just call in. This is kind of weird. I don't know. It's been so long since I did it, you guys. You gotta forgive me. But you should be able to call in, and then you should be able to join this meeting. And I should be able to send something out. So don't worry about it. I'll just we'll figure it out another time. But anyway, going back to RDP here, we got a couple more minutes. It looks like it's already working. So as we seen before, you got to do a little more configuration with DHCP. So if we have a static IP, we might be able to try it. So I'll just go ahead and click commit, create security group, promote this to a domain controller. So I gotta make this as a domain controller. So I'll just say add a domain controller. I'll call this DNS.com. Well, that didn't work. DNS. Let me see. No credentials provided. So administrator. I'm probably going to ask for that. There we go. Click next. And it's going to, well, what happened here? Could not be contacted. So I'll just add a new force. Call it the root name, DNS.com. You know, you always want to remember this. Okay, now I'm creating a new force. Basically, I'm creating my domain. And as you can see, the force functional level is 2016 and the domain functional level is 2016. It's going to make a DNS server and a global catalog. This is you building your network. Any corporate enterprise infrastructure is going to have something like this. When you start your first job, you're not going to be touching this stuff. But here, you could touch it in here, you know. So even if you don't know what a lot of this stuff is, you're going to be able to basically just come out here and play around with it while you're reading your book. And you're not going to hurt anything. You know, you could just blow it away if you have to. So we'll let that roll for a little bit. What else can we learn? You could right click, go to system if you want to know more information. This is like Windows 10, so you guys should already be a little acclimated as to how you move around. If you go to advanced system settings, you'll notice that remote assistance allows remote connections to this computer. If you were to click this off, it'd probably be hard to get this from another place in the world. Like if you were at your buddy's house and then they wanted to remote in and you gave them your credentials and that public IP address that I talked about. You see, it would be hard. So let's go back up and just take a look and see. It's still taking time. This stuff does take a little time. This service manager is great. You could configure to open this up. I'm going to let you guys figure that one out. But you could configure this stuff where it'll open up soon as the computer boots up, because you're going to be using this a lot. So it looks like we got one more minute. Let's see if this recording will allow me to go ahead and let this domain run. Because ultimately I want everybody to be, you know, configuring your computers to work where we'll be able to talk to each other. And you'll see on how a lot of these group policies and how a network works in a nutshell. But everybody should be at this point by right now. Everybody should had signed up with their AWS account, you know, or Azure. We may do Azure later on. I really like AWS. This is still going. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I'll go ahead and cancel it for now. I'll close out. And I'm going to go ahead and shut down my server. And we will resume Thursday night, 6:30 sharp. I'll go ahead and cut this off.